Hello? Hang on, I've got to get out of Austin's stream. Am I streaming? Am I streaming? I don't know. Let's see. Yes, I kind of jumped in with no warning this time, didn't I? I'm just here. Greetings. At least I hope I'm here. The reason for all of this is that everything went wrong this morning. My laptop, which I use for all of the scripting of it plays the intro sequence and does the thing of taking it live. Okay. Is not working. OBS wouldn't launch, and then I got OBS running, but then Companion wouldn't connect to the ATEM, and then the Stream Deck won't connect to Companion. It's all broken. So right now I am just running OBS like on my Mac Mini. Are any of us here? That's the really big question. Yes. So I was just, while I was trying to figure all of this out, I had Austin's stream open as well. Okay. Oh, and at the moment, the YouTube studio looks like it's broken too. It's a typical thing. All right, where are we? So what this means is that if I want to do things like change to the desktop view, I've got to do this like this manually through the ATEM, and yeah, it's not so easy. Hang on. Okay, before we get to all of this, it's really weird. Like, it's discombobulating not having the usual push button actions and scripts and things that take care of things for me. Okay, and even though this is going to annoy some people, this is important. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. All right, now I've got to find where is my chat. Yes, there is my chat. Switch it on and off again. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting TTS open. See, it all went very bad today. TTS hopefully is working. So good morning to Crispian. Austin is here, so no longer streaming. Austin was just working on a conveyor project doing firmware stuff, and hopefully I will reap the benefits of all of his work. Oh, my glasses are disgusting. So this morning I need to be wearing the glasses. Actually, what I should have on is sunglasses, because it got to be like 2 o'clock in the morning this morning, and I was lying there, could not sleep. Ended up taking melatonin at 2 o'clock this morning, even though I knew that was way too late to be doing it. And then 3 o'clock in the morning, I was still awake. And, oh, TTS.
Outside the box,
yes.
said, and good morning to you too.
It worked. 3 o'clock this morning, I was still awake. Could not get to sleep, so I feel like death warmed up right now. And so where are we? Okay, so good morning to John Whip, Stephen George, Stephen W. Some call it fun. The Lane, Gerald42 to Braze, Matt W. Immy is here. Shucky. Amanda is here too.
Austin's_creations said, not my project, but I really wanted to code something for it.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice, Austin. So I will get back to that in just a second. Amanda wasn't going to be here today, but circumstances changed. No trains today due to weather. Alistair de Silva is here. Kim, Andrew Brown, Guru of Nothing, Andrew Gordon, Cassio, Technebulous, Mr. Fixit. Yeah, that's it, I think. Mod Squirrel. Oh, looks like Mitchell has been doing some updates to the TTS as well. It's got different roles and things displayed now. I don't know if that was if that's something I'd just not noticed before. Anyway, my point was, the point I was half making earlier is I'm bleary-eyed and zonked. Just right before the stream, I munched down on breakfast spiced with creatine, and I've got a double shot coffee here, which I have half drunk. So I have had effectively one coffee. So take more decks and power. Alistair says if you get to 4 a.m., take more decks and power through to the next day. No, I'm as they say in the classics, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah, let's watch me sleep for 2 hours. Okay, Crispian. So back to Austin and coding. Now, Austin, sorry. Talking about what we were going to do today. There was an excellent suggestion by Stephen, I think, who said to have a look at the Project Dopamine spreadsheet. I'm just going to pull stuff up in the drive here. Project Dopamine, finished stuff. Okay. And all right, view, let's zoom that in. I haven't actually even looked at this spreadsheet for ages now. So let's do that and that. See, it's all screwed up now. So to figure out what to do. And the issue here is this bit right here. Discuss firmware with Austin. So, Austin, at some point, if you are up for it, it would be really cool to have you on the stream again. And, oh, Don S is here as well. Hey, Don. And to go through some firmware stuff for the air quality sensor. But yes, I kind of feel, what do I feel like? I feel like, actually, open KO.
Austin_creations said, I'm off school for summer, happy to stream anytime.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Austin. Maybe we should organise it for next Sunday, perhaps? As in Sunday my time, it'll be Saturday night your time. I guess it's Saturday night right now in... you're in Canada, aren't you? Are you? I can't remember. I think you're in Canada. So, depending on which part of Canada you're in, you'd be many hours behind, different time zone. So, test schematic, assemble a team to test modules. So, okay, the thing I want to do right now is do a quick review of this spreadsheet, because this is the spreadsheet of fun. This is how I get the dopamine that I need to get through the day. How do I get... no, I was just going to get rid of toolbar stuff, but it doesn't matter. So, let's do some reviewingizing. So, the air quality sensor. Now, the air quality sensor I've had running right here. I'm going to... it's the cable that's powering it is jammed under stuff. Let's see. I'm going to switch to this view. Here it is right here. So this is running Austin's firmware. You can see that it's green around the border at the moment. It is reporting 22.3 degrees, 55% humidity, and no readings. Interesting on the particulate matter sensor. This, I wonder what the uptime is on this. It would be in the order of a few weeks. It's just been sitting here plugged into a hub on my bench. So yeah, I wonder why the PM sensor is not reporting anything. It's getting values from the BME 680. It's reporting a BVOC of 0.9 and CO2 of 792, but no PMS. No, Austin says, say there's...
Austin's underscore creations said, the 0 reading is correct.
No, but it's not even a 0. I can't really get this where you can see it, unfortunately. It's not a 0 reading, it's no reading. It's got the PM 1.0, 2.5 and 10 headings on the screen there, but there's no number under them, which normally there is. It's just blank in that area. So I wonder whether it has lost connection, it's lost communication with the PMS 7000 or whatever it is, the particulate matter sensor. Could be that something has happened there. 0 reading is correct. Okay, I've got to embiggenify this chat because I can't follow it at a glance. Alright, so back to here.
Austin's underscore creations said, easy test is to burn some solder.
Oh, true. Burn some solder and just see what happens to it. Wagon Load says, I have an AHT10 sitting behind my computer's air exhaust fan, and it says 123.3 degrees F. Oh, that's not that hot. 120. When I saw 123 degrees, I thought, damn, that's higher than, that's steam. That's more than boiling water. But no, 123 degrees Fahrenheit's not that hot. In the old world units. Hang on, I'm going to try supporting this in a position where it's going to be possible to see it. So how will I do this? I'll sit it on a stack of PCBs. No, I need something else. Oh no, I'll sit it on this. I've got this container of excuse me a second, I've got to focus the camera and zoom it in. Come on, exit out of focus assist, zoom in, here we go. Now you'll be able to see the screen in just a second. Alright, once focus assist leaves the building, yeah, so that is what is currently showing on the screen. Oh, that's interesting. It's got that weird Moira effect with the, is it a Moira effect? Or is it something else? It's just the interlace showing. So it's got the diagonal lines coming down it. And you can see that there are no numbers at all. There's not even a 0 number. Oh, Wagon Loads is here, Don S is here, Alan Madsen is here. Good morning, welcome. Yeah, this is, yep, Moira. Yep, Moira. Okay, thanks Alistair. That's what happens when you only know how things are said from reading them. Moira. Okay. Easy test is to burn some solder. Yeah, I don't have the soldering iron turned on right now. So try rotating the display a smidge. Okay, I will just rotate it slightly. Ooh. Oh look, we can change the angle. Can we get it to a point where the Moire effect disappears? I've had that in terms of pronunciation issues. Oh, if I keep moving it, I might be able to get it to a sweet spot. There it is. It's probably aligned approximately with the trace on the camera now, or at an appropriate thing. Crispian says, Moire was a big subject when we were adjusting CRT monitors. Yes. Yeah, I have that problem with a lot of things because a lot of what I know, I learned from books, printed things, where you just look at the words on the page and figure out what they mean and look them up in a dictionary and then get the meaning from that without ever actually hearing anyone say it, like without That's the problem when you don't have people around to have conversations with about these sorts of things. So you don't talk about stuff or learn things from people, you just learn them from books. Yeah, John, just turn you that way. Just turn your head, John. Then it will be straight. Yeah. So when I was in school, I read the Concise Oxford English Dictionary, and I learned a few words from that. But, oh, Dodgy says, morning, barely awake, no sudden movements. Yeah, we're all leaning to the right. My view is reversed, so I've got to lean to the left to align. Try looking at a screen through a polarized filter. Yeah. Oh, Gerald says, I learned about Moire from an Apple II programming book. I think I might have as well. Way, way back in the day. That sounds familiar. Yeah, so there was an effect. I used to do that, like when doing graphics primitives on low-res displays, the Moire effect. Yeah, your left matches our right. Alistair de Silva says, I hope the majority here lean to the left. I'm leaning hard left. Yeah, well, I'd probably scare off those who don't. Well, I know that I haven't scared off a few who don't, but anyway. All right, I need to imbibe a little more of the brown caffeine juice. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aliens and non-aliens. Yes. Okay. Oh, one thing I noticed is that in that view, you can quite clearly see the layer lines of not layer lines. That is the face of the enclosure. It was printed diagonally. So it was a line square on, and the printer does the first layer diagonally in one direction, then the second layer diagonally in the other. Coriolis effect? Yep. Now, which way is my coffee spinning as it goes down my throat? Does it spin clockwise or anti-clockwise? This feels like such even more of a random stream than normal. I have no idea what I'm even saying. It's like I'm in a zone, I don't know. Okay, so let's see if I can get, hang on, disable that and then enable that. I'll see if I can get my, get companion to connect. No, companion is not going to connect. Oh, hang on, I wonder if it's, no, tail scale, no. It's not because, no. Scan USB devices, yes, do that. No, still not seeing my Stream Deck. So companion is broken on my laptop. Alistair says, I like the holographic print sheets for printing user-facing plates.
Outside the box said, it doesn't matter.
Thanks, Crispian. Okay, back to here. Now, air quality sensor. Let's, in my sleep-deprived haze, do a review of these different things. And, oh, Austin says...
Austin's underscore creations said, the only time those values should be blank is when it has done a reboot and not gotten information.
Okay. I'm going to power cycle it now, and we'll just see what happens. Yeah, because I would assume that if it had had information at any point, it would have it's just rebooting now. It would have, boink. So it's in the process of initializing. You can see it's got no CO2 values. It's getting the temperature and humidity. Hopefully we'll get some other values soon.
Said, it's something I can add code to convey better.
No. I think it's fine. I just don't know why. Oh, MQTT is not yet connected, I can see. I assume that's what that thing in the middle means. The hash with the circle around it and the red question mark. Pouring tempered chocolate. Ooh. Donna said, try pouring tempered chocolate on that holographic sheet. Yeah, that would come out really well. It'd make a nice effect on the chocolate. But not if you've used the sheet for printing stuff that shouldn't go in your mouth. Chocolate with extra VOCs. Yeah. Okay. Back to... Oh, the hash is the accuracy for the BME values? Okay. That's interesting. I wonder if the BME has come off the connector. Maybe that's the issue. Let's see what's going on here. I'm going to pop it out of the enclosure because the connector for it... Oh yeah, I've got to push that button down in order to extract it from the enclosure and maybe bend the enclosure up. So I've actually revised the PCB to have the buttons coming out the back, and I haven't... This is another one of those classic cases of I did the work and I don't remember if I even ordered the PCBs. I may well have the next version PCB sitting here just unassembled. Oof. Well, that wasn't good. I don't know if that came off in my...
Austin's_creations said, the accuracy just takes a little while to warm up.
Okay, if my rough disassembly did that. But this is a 1.27 millimeter pitch connector, and it is not especially strong. And also I haven't adhered this on anywhere. Like I haven't stuck it on with tape or anything. So it just hangs off that connector. And if it's not nicely in, that would explain why the values weren't coming up. So let's clip all of that back into place. Okay, I'm just going to power it up without the enclosure and we'll see what happens then. Put this back over here. I'll rotate it a bit so hopefully I get it into approximately the correct rotation to avoid the Moira effect. And oh look, we've got 0 values appearing now instead of no values appearing. And the humidity value is very high, maybe because I've just had my hands all over it. We shall see what comes up. See if we get any values on that PMS. I can't hear the fan running. So the PMS has a little fan in it that circulates air past the laser scattering sensor. And normally you can hear the fan. It's very, very quiet, but you can just hear it go as it powers up. And I haven't heard that. But I will leave it there and we'll come back to it. In the meantime, while waiting for that to do its thing.
Austin's_creations said, and we are working again.
Yep, we sure are, Austin. We don't have values. Well, 0 values could be legit, but I don't think it's quite that clean in this room. It won't jump up from 0 until you actually do work. Oh, okay. All right, let's see if we can trigger it. Well, I will get back to the spreadsheet, but while we're here, let's mess around with this. So everybody cover the ears of their voice assistant. Alexa, turn on bench 1.
Okay.
Alrighty. Oh, and hello, Paul. And hello, Dodgy. I thought I said hello to Dodgy earlier. but I just saw dodgy in the list. So, yeah. So as Crispian said, who let the smoke out? Let's do some smokeifying. Here we go. I've got soldering iron and solder. Ooh. There we go. It's working. Look at that. I made it angry. I put the robot into kill mode. It went red, just like in the movies. So that is working. But now I'm not getting values for CO2 and BVOC, which is odd because those values, I'm pretty sure, wagon load. So does this measure chocolate density? If I had chocolate right now, I would not have chocolate because I would have eaten it. It would be gone. Now, I do have an air purifier running, but it's just through the door in the cleanish room. So the air in this area is normally pretty clean. I vacuum to try to keep dust down, and there's the air purifier which runs 24/7. So it is quite it is quite plausible that it's reading approximately zero-ish most of the time. Just had some cabana. Crispian, are you having a German breakfast? Eating cured meat for breakfast. That's the German way. Cyberdyne. I am addicted to orange slice candy, says Wagon Loads. Orange slice. What is orange slice candy? Orange slice candy. Orange slice candy. Oh, that stuff. Yeah. I can see why you would be addicted to that. Yes. That's yeah, let's make everybody want some. We'll do that. Orange slice candy. Sugar hit. Okay, so yes, we need a backronym for YMU. Yum? Yumu. Alan says, I'm just addicted to good food. So, where are we up to? Let's do a quick review. This is what I was talking about half an hour ago. Let's do a quick review of this and update the spreadsheet and see what to do next. So, air quality sensor, assemble v4.1 boards. I think version 4.1. This is version 4, is it? I think this is version 4. I can't actually tell. Where is the version number on the board? Did I not put a version number on here? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Oh, now I've got CO2 and BVOC values. So the sensor, yeah, it is now all working. And no, pineapple on a pizza is not food. Yes, it is. Let's have an argument about that. Okay, so let's just start from the top. I'm going to let's see if this works. Yes, it does. Okay.
Outside the box said, it has an aversion number.
An aversion number. Yeah. An aversion to numbers. Schematic. Starting from the top. Assemble a TM, as in test module, to test modules. Increase depth of test module. I've actually done that. So, increase depth of test module. That design is, on that subject, for those of you who haven't been following along in Discord, there is some parallel development effort, which is really, really cool. There's a version of, and at the moment in my adult state, I can't remember who is doing it. I'm really sorry. That's embarrassing. There is a version of the Testomatic PCB which has been done in, I think in KiCad, which has a Raspberry Pi 0 on it, and instead of the full-size Raspberry Pi. And it has a few other changes. It's been rearranged a bit. It's got an RJ45 connection brought out and some other stuff. So it's being done to have different characteristics to the Testomatic that I'm working on. Ah, Tech Nebulous. I'm doing the Pi 0. I'm doing it on Altium. Okay, yep. Yeah, so I am really excited to see how this turns out. So Tech Nebulous is doing the Pi 0 version of the Testomatic. And also some 3D printing. Instead of laser cutting a chassis, there is some 3D printing. So let's, hang on. For those of you who are interested in this, I'm going to bring this up. Testomatic. Here. You can see that I updated the chassis. So there are now, these are all updated 2 weeks ago now. So I've added the chassis design files in both DXF, so backplate, oh, it doesn't render DXFs. This is what a DXF looks like. It's just a text file. So each of the plates of the Testomatic chassis is there as a DXF if you want to just pull it into your laser cutter and cut it, and also as a Fusion design file, Fusion 360 F3D, in case you want to edit it. So there are DXFs and F3Ds for every single plate in the chassis, and there is also, where are we? Where's the assembly? Oh no, the assembly isn't in there. I did export the assembly as well, but I haven't added it into here. And that's about 44 megabytes, so it's a kind of large thing. I'm not sure whether I want to, if I want to put it into here. I probably should, but 44 meg is kind of large to stick into a Git repo. Jordan, caught up. Oh, and good morning to Simon and Jordan and David Kaiser. All right, now, chassis. So, for anyone that's wanting to mess around with the Testomatic chassis, that is now in there. I also want to start adding some of the software in there. That's going to be one of the next big things. So Testomatic, assemble a TM. So the depth of the test, assemble a increased depth of test module. That is done. I modified the design, and the reason for that was to allow more space underneath the test module, so that if you wanted to add your own I/O modules or whatever, there's plenty of room in there now. And also it means that the spacer on the test module is now 20 millimeters instead of 18 millimeters. And, or was it 16? I can't remember. But anyway, I'm pretty sure it's ended up with a 20 millimeter spacer, which is a more common size. So if you're assembling them yourself and trying to source parts, it just makes it easier instead of having to like 3D print a custom spacer or do something strange like that. Pressure plate mech. So the pressure plate mechanism is a big one that needs to be sorted out, which I've already designed the gantry that goes up over the top, but I haven't laser cut any of those. So I need to cut that and just see how well it works. And then from there, the pressure plate mechanism that goes beyond it, below it. Replace I/O expanders. Ah, okay. So one thing I need to do here is drivers for I/O expanders. That is on the list now, which I have partly done. So assemble an updated TM chassis. TM chassis. Okay, so I've got a little bit of laser cutting to do. I need to laser cut a couple of parts to make the updated test-o-matic chassis. I need to laser cut the gantry, and then I can design the pressure plate mechanism. And this is the drivers for IO expanders is a software thing. So that's doing drivers in Python. I've got to get back to doing that. I've got them partly working actually, which is cool. All right, now air quality sensor. I need to assemble v4.1 boards and revise the enclosure. Those two things go together. The version 4.1 boards have the buttons coming directly out the back instead of up, which means that there won't need to be holes in the top of the enclosure, and the whole thing will slide into the back of the enclosure much more neatly and be easier to get in and out. So I need to assemble those. Maybe that's something I could do on a stream. I don't know. Revise the enclosure, which is going to be very simple. That's really just a matter of deleting the holes that are on the top face and adding holes to the back cover that screws on. So discuss firmware with Austin. It kind of feels like this live stream is a stand-up. It's like reporting where I'm up to with projects. And oh yeah, and make some so that people can have them. All right, if Austin is up for it, then maybe next Sunday we can get together and talk about firmware for the air quality sensor. Oh, and so with this, the point of this is...
Have the VOC readings filled in yet?
Oh yes, they have. The VOC readings have filled in. Let me see, I can go to there. It is reading 1085 on CO2 and 1.8 on VOC, 1.9 VOC. You can see it's moving around a little bit. PM10 just had a 1 and dropped back to 0. So yeah, we're getting readings. What is a reasonable CO2 reading? It says 1,000. CO2 reading. What is considered reasonable?
Austin_creation said, in down.
Excellent. Good to hear, Austin. So let's make arrangements and figure out how we're going to do it. We can do that later. Typically 300 to 400 parts per million in outside air. So indoor air, acceptable levels generally considered to be below 1,000, with levels below 800 indicating good air quality. Occupied spaces between 400 and 1,000, levels between 1,000 and 2,000 may cause drowsiness. Maybe that's my problem. So it's currently reading approximately 1,000, give or take, just a fraction over. So that is probably about right, considering I'm in an enclosed space right now. There are no fans or anything running, nothing to really circulate the air. And I'm not all that far from the sensor. So I'm going to be pumping out CO2. Okay. Alan said, please make PDF files of the files too, so you don't have to download files just to look at them. That is an excellent idea. Okay, let's do that. Let's add in here.
Outside the box said, it is above 1,000 because you're right in front of it.
Yep. Yeah, it is within arm's reach. It's just to my right. So all of the CO2 that I'm spewing out will be enveloping the sensor. PDFs of mechanicals. Okay, that is now on my list. Assemble those, revise that, discuss with Austin. Anyway, so the point, Austin, I kind of dobbed you in or sucked you into a conversation about the firmware. The reason I want to do this is that I don't know what the firmware is currently doing. Like, I have Austin has done firmware that runs on this air quality sensor, and it's very cool, but I would like to go through it and see how it works and learn a bit about it. So that's why I want to get Austin on to talk about that. So we can have a look through the code, see what it's doing, see how it's reading, communicating with the sensors, etc. Okay. Alan says, wish there were put diagrams and PCB on GitHub to PDF also. Yes. Diagram. Yes. An HRV. And talking, an HRV might make a big improvement in your air quality, says Jordan. What's an HRV? When I see the term HRV, the only thing I think about is heart rate variability. But that, I'm sure that's not what you're talking about. What is HRV? Air quality. HRV? Exchanging stale indoor air with fresh outdoor air while also recovering heat from the outgoing air. Okay. What HRV, heat recovery ventilation. Right. Okay. That's interesting. Crispian says, heavy rigid vehicle, HRV. Yeah. But anyway, back to Alan's point about wish there were diagrams and PCB on GitHub and PDF also. Don't like to download files just to open up KiCad or Eagle to see it. Yes, I get your point. PDFs of mechanicals, schematic, and PCB. Okay. Yeah, it is nice when you can go to GitHub and just click on things and get a preview or something without having to download the file, open the thing, when you just want to look at it, like to find a pinout or something. Okay, so conveyor. PCB sensor mounts, that is long done. The PCB sensors we've had working on a stream before. Assemble extra chassis. I've already done that, but I want to make more, so I'm going to leave that on the list. Review controller design. There is not a huge amount more to do on the conveyor project other than, actually, what I should do is add on here, make the screen useful. I've got ideas about what I want to put on the screen, and I know. There is a major thing here. Review controller design for Plus version. So what's going to happen? I ordered. Okay, I've got to get my brain back into gear. Austin has been using the Plus version of the WT32SC01 displays recently, and I still am using the non-Plus version, and I've been having trouble with them crashing. So a few weeks ago, I ordered some of the Plus versions, and add review future code.
Austin_creation said, I guess you can add review future code from Austin.
Okay. Yep. So review future code from Austin. Yes, because Austin is working on a conveyor project at the moment. I only saw the last couple of minutes of the stream this morning, but Austin was just streaming about something to do with this. So yeah, I don't know. The conveyor. So with the existing controller, it is working. It pretty much does what I want, but I'm probably about to redesign the whole thing from scratch based on the Plus version of the display. And what that means is I'm very hesitant to put any more time into the existing version. I don't necessarily, like, I don't want to spend time designing an enclosure for the controller to attach it to the front of the chassis, because the whole thing is probably going to go out the window. So I'm kind of pausing this project until I have the new Plus displays. In fact, where? I'm going to look up my little AliExpress purchase history, because I want to see where they are. They should be arriving anytime now. Where are we? Track order. Here we go. Delivery unsuccessful. Your package can't be delivered out of hours. Delivery being rescheduled. When was that? April 21st. That was a week ago. What? Contact carrier. All right. So this is the delivery report for my contact courier. Maybe I should click that and see what happens. So April 16th, their final delivery has been pretty crappy. So left the sorting center on April 15. April 16 was being prepared for delivery. April 21st, they failed to deliver it. What day was that? 21st was Monday. That was the public holiday. But I was here. So they failed to deliver it on the public holiday and have not attempted it since. What happens if I do contact carrier? View details. Okay, let's see. I should probably move this off the screen just in case I dox myself again. Accept about iMile. That's not very useful. Enter order tracking number. Okay. Where is the order tracking number? Or no. Anyway. Yeah, they've screwed up the delivery. I think I've noticed it in particular in the last 6 months. The deliveries. How do I say this? I'm not quite sure how to articulate it. It's not that I'm worried about what I'm saying. It's just that my brain is not very functional. So there has been a change in the way final mile delivery happens. Stuff gets into the country, and then previously a lot of the time it would be delivered by Australia Post or someone like that who would do the final delivery. But there seems to be a lot more now like solo contractors. And so when I get deliveries, like if I order something, it might turn up at like 8 o'clock on a Friday night. A random person will pull up in a car out the front, and it's obviously someone who, it's like a gig economy thing, where the people who are doing the deliveries are not employees of any particular company. They're just paid like per package or something to go and do deliveries, and they're doing it as extra like fill-in work after hours. So they're driving around suburbs like trying to deliver packages at 8 or 9 o'clock on a Friday night, or just weird times. Or they'll try to do a delivery on a Sunday morning and then say, no, unable to deliver. It's like, of course the business was closed. It was 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning when you try to do the delivery. What do you expect? So yeah, the gig economy continues to...
Austin's_creations said, the same shipping stuff has happened here as well. Granted in getting things faster and faster.
Yeah, yes. It is, it does seem to be getting faster, but it is less consistent. And things like this happen where they'll attempt a delivery on a public holiday and then like to a business address and then say unable to deliver and then just not reschedule it. It'll just sit somewhere. Maybe it's in the boot of the delivery person's car and it's going to be there for who knows how long until they decide to do something about it. I don't know. And then who do you complain to? How do you chase it up? There's nowhere, because it is sitting in some contractor's car who just picked a whole bunch of stuff up from a depot and then got a list of deliveries on an app on their phone. So then they just drive around at whatever time it is that they decide to do it. Anyway, yeah, Alan says, here in Denmark we have parcel shops. So we get a text message when the package is there and you can pick it up. They're everywhere, for example, in supermarkets, etc., etc. Yeah, we have the same here as well. But for some reason, well, if I gave one of those as my delivery address, that would work. Australia Post have that service and some supermarkets have that service. Officeworks, which is a big office retail shop here, has that service. There are many places where you could give your delivery address as a parcel locker service, and then you get a notification and you just go and pick it up from the parcel locker. But I've given my street address as the delivery address. Yeah, Simon said unpredictable deliveries suck. Yeah. All right, conveyor. So review controller design for Plus version. All of this is now pending receiving these delayed screens so that I can consider, sorry, I'm just hearing a car out the front. I'm wondering if it's delivery of my screens. That would be funny if I'm ranting about it and then they turned up at the door. So the conveyor. Once the screens arrive, I'm going to sit and have a think about what to do about the controller aspect of that. And then things like the firmware and I'm possibly going to have to design a whole new PCB to go with that. So anyway, that's a thing. OpenPNP cluster, yes, that is something that I will get back to, but I'm not really going to pay much attention to it right now. Rack 32, yes, this is something that I actually feel very motivated right now. Right now I feel like screwing around in Fusion 360, so I might get back to this on this stream, like now. Air purifier, that's done. I need to finish seal. Where's my keyboard? There. Seal the room. Raised corner bench, and I've done that. Compressed air dryer, I need to add that. Like a proper one. We talked about this in the past. This is a long-term ongoing thing. On a previous stream we talked about refrigerated air dryers and that sort of thing, rather than just, you know, the basic glass bowl sort of stuff like I've got at the moment. Anyway, that's just an ongoing thing. Desktop CNC, the convert to Linux CNC. This is something that I will possibly get to soonish once I've finished the mechanical area, which I am now, so I am now calling it the Swamp, which I think I mentioned. That name has kind of fixed itself in in my brain, particularly since I am going to go for a real solar punk look out there. I want to add a whole lot of plants. So I want to have some hanging plants along the front edge of the mezzanine and attach plants to the walls like little vertical garden thing. So I want a whole bunch of green out there in the mechanical area. And so that is going to be my swamp. And the desktop CNC is going to be set up out there once I've got that organized. KiCad. convert fusion libraries. Yep, that's a thing. RJ45 breakout. This is also a thing. OpenKO. What do I need to do on that? I don't know, but it feels like it's not done. IoT AP. I'm not even sure if I want to continue with this. It's a project that I was kind of excited about for a while. I'm going to leave it on the list, but yeah, I may or may not get back to it. I know a couple of other people are interested in pursuing it. Yeah. Mech area benches. Weldom. I've made one of them. I need to make a second one. Mech area lighting. I have done the outside border strip light, and I need to do the hexagon that fills in the middle. So that can stay there. Parts management, inventory, or something similar. Thermal camera. So this is the project which is the add-on for the for a test-o-matic. Review status of firmware. Yeah, that's something that we can get back to as well. Mini Open Adaptive Controller. This is something that I would like to get back to, do a redesign on that. Zero Stick is also something I want to get back to, but I'm not spending time on these. I'm just going through this list now kind of as a memory refresher, because I couldn't even remember what was on this spreadsheet. Front garden, plan the layout. Yeah, so that is the front of outside the factory here. I want to do some landscaping. That needs to be planned, and then the old stuff ripped out, reorganize it. But I've got enough to do right now, so this is definitely a wish list thing, not a definitely doing that soon thing. So, out of this list, redesign with S3 plus H2 and new power supply, PSU on module. Yeah, even though this is a very low priority thing, you need more coffee to function, says Alan. Yes, I do. Okay, hang on. I have a little more here. Okay, I have now finished that coffee. So Funway reboot, I am definitely pausing that one for various reasons that I won't go into right now. There is stuff there. Wagonload says, you need to make a motion detector notifier for deliveries at front door. You got mail. Yeah, I know. I've got a motion detector out there at the moment. It's a Zigbee motion detector, and right now it is not working, and I need to figure out why. I did have it set so that it would turn on the porch light if there was movement out there and it was after dark. But yeah, it stopped reporting, and I don't know why. I need to look at it. It was one of those things where it stopped working and I didn't care enough to do anything about it. But yes, I should do it so that it announces people. Oh, Jordan says those plants should help with the CO2 levels. Yeah, that's true. There was a video a while ago. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find it. How many plants can provide oxygen for a person? There was a video I saw a while ago. What I need to have in a sealed room. Okay, so it takes 7 full-grown trees to process the amount of CO2 that a single human produces into an equal amount of oxygen. Oh yeah, this was the... How many plants do you need to breathe? Yeah, looks like a few people have done these videos. There was some video I saw a while ago where... When was this? That was 2019. This is 2024. There was someone who locked themselves in a room with a CO2 monitor and checked how will these plants keep me alive. Okay, I'm going to hit mute on here. Simon said, I so heard emotion detector. Yeah. Detect these emotions. I'm not going to play this whole thing because I don't want to get copyright striked. But yeah, this was a... This doesn't look familiar. Maybe this is the one, but there was some video I saw where there was someone who stuck themselves in a sealed room with a CO2 monitor and measured as a baseline how the CO2 level rose just with them sealed in the room. And then they started adding plants to see the effect. And it is a lot of plants that it takes. It's really significant. For one person to counteract the amount of CO2 that you produce, you need a mini forest. Oh, sounds like a veritasium, says Crispian. Yeah, veritasium might have done a video about that. Alan said, use an LD2410 sensor. I love that one. LD2410 sensor. Let's see, LD2410 sensor. What does that do? Oh, these ones. Okay. Human presence body induction. What? Yeah. Okay. 24 gigahertz. Yeah, this is a it's a yes, a radar type thing. A microwave sort of thing. Yes. Human presence body induction distance detection. Why does it say induction? Because it's not using induction, surely? It's frequency modulated continuous waves to detect human targets in the set space. Is it induction? I didn't think it was. I thought it was using kind of like a Doppler shift on the reflected signal. Yeah, anyway. So, right, Paul said there was the guy that used barrels of algae. Yes, yeah, like that is, in terms of effectiveness, or what would be the metric? It would be like liters of CO2 processed per gram of material or whatever. Algae is far better than regular terrestrial type plants. Hang on, I got a cough. The amount that you need is dramatically less in terms of volume. What am I looking for? I'm looking for Superhouse projects, and I want to open Rack 32. Rack 32 S3. Rack 32. Why is there no... Where is... Do you want to create an electronics design? I think at some point I've had a crash on Fusion and it has broken my my Rack 32 S3 project. Or did I just not upload it? I'm going to have a look because I'm not sure whether I actually was doing this in Fusion or whether it was back in the Eagle days. So I'm going to check it out. Rack 32 hardware, Rack 32 S3. Oh, okay, yeah. So I've got Rack 32 S3 files there, and I've got this here. So let's close that, and Rack 32. All right, I'm going to, hang on, that's the project. That's the thing. Did I just fail to, All right, I'm going to try opening this project and I'll see what happens. I'll see if I can associate the Eagle PCB with it. Is it opening? I don't know if it is. Oh, it is. Okay. No, but that doesn't have anything associated with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is delete that. Are you sure? Yes. And I am going to reference, I am going to upload, is it going to dox me? Rack 32 S3, what am I referencing? The schematic. Okay. So I'm going to upload that. And then in here, I'm going to go that and select that. Oh, my stomach is going crazy from the from ingesting the caffeine and everything else. Okay, so now I'm going to save that as Rack 32 S3 just so that I can keep the old version here. Sounded like would be what found some plants are better at doing and some are better at. Oh, okay. Didn't get notification. Oh, intermittent tech is here. Hello, hello, intermittent. Where are we? Back to the chat. Back to the chat. This reminds me of the Biosphere 2 project. Yeah, that's right. There were Biosphere 2. Yeah, and we're not talking about the game Bioshock. You know, Bioshock is one of those classic games that I have always wanted to play, and I have never played it. It's one of those games that has kind of legendary status, and I'm not really a huge gamer, so I don't really spend apart from very specific things. I'm not the sort of person that just plays a whole bunch of different games. I will play a specific thing because I'm interested in that thing, and so I've just never. Yeah, I've never played Bioshock, but it's one of those games that I've been aware of and thought I would really like to go back and play the classic old, like the original Bioshock. Squirrel, that says Crispian, yeah. And a good tour, okay. Yeah, I'd like to, just out of curiosity. So this is the partial conversion I began doing on the Rack 32 to change it over to an ESP32 S3. You can see that I started on the process. Hang on, I've got to sneeze, I think. Do I? Don't I? Yes. Okay. Sneeze complete. Spare assignments. Did I have? So this is something I haven't looked at for a very, very long time, and I've really got to reorient myself with what the hell is going on here. So I've got a Vroom 32 S3 module here, and I deleted the USB to serial converter because it's no longer required. I added the USB-C connection linked directly to the S3. The power supply has been switched over. Oh, yeah, this was, let's change this. Let's go for, we'll change this inductor to 15 microhenries and change the regulator chip. Yes, let's make it an LMR3 8020 because that's the regulator that I use by default these days. And so we've now got the power supply being done using this. We've got DC in. Yeah, so I went a bit of the way to the conversion. I have done some of it. VR3, what is that? Oh, let's do a library update just in case, because I think there are some footprints that have changed. Please select a package variant. Oh, maybe this is where there's some breakage. What? Okay, yeah, I redid that package a little. Let's fix some alignments on here, because why did I redo that package? I can't remember. I think it was because I did a mini version of it as well, because yeah, that's right. I was trying to make it consistent. So I have a version of the Vroom S3 and a version of the Vroom S3 Mini. And I rearranged the pinout on the symbol to just group all of the I/O numerically, like in numeric order, and left spaces. So I/O 16, am I using that? I don't even know. Let's move these. I don't know if these are not connected or not, so let's move these little things off here. So DAC1, DAC2, WizNet interface, oh, interrupt, interface, in your face. We've got RxD0, strap and strap. Okay, so that has moved. I should not use the strapping pins. Yeah, anyway, the point is, the mini version of the Vroom module has a couple of extra I/O pins, and I rearranged it so that the symbol could be almost the same with the I/O pins in the same place, apart from the ones that are missing. So the symbol for the S3 Vroom Mini looks the same as this, except that it has pins in here, which are the extra pins that are available only on the mini version. And then what I did was I just deleted those pins from the symbol for the full size version, and that way both the full size and the mini become almost interchangeable, apart from those pins. Stephen said, with all those I/O pins, you won't have enough with the C6. Oh, computer is muted. Yes, it is. I'm going to, oops. Why did I mute it? I don't even remember. I'm going to do this.
Austin's_creations said, probably better off using 32 Spanish pesetas C6 than S3 plus H2 combo.
Ah, Spanish pesetas. Better off using an ESP32 C6 than an S3 plus H2 combo. Maybe. What? But I am very curious. Cable tie! Merry Christmas! Yes, Merry Christmas, Cable tie. But I'm very curious to know why you suggest an ESP32 C6 than an S3 plus H2 combo. So one of the reasons for doing this is to add thread support. Now what's on here? That. And because I think it would be cool if the Rack 32 could also be a thread border router, which it could be if I put an H2 on here as well. Just catching up. Yeah, Austin says C6 has thread. Yes. I've never used a C6. is there example code around for using thread on a C6? I guess there probably is. Have you used a C6, Austin? Because if you have, that would make me a lot more confident in doing it. I'm working on a project. In fact, I've done a number of board designs now that have the S3 plus H2 combo on them. And one of those is, well, they're all client projects. Currently design a project to use a C6, yeah. I'm not going to mention who the client is or anything like that because I don't want to breach confidentiality. I won't even say who the client is. They might be okay with it, but I don't want to make that presumption. There is one particular client that I designed a couple of variations of a board. So there was a particular product that I designed. There is a version which is like a small version just in an enclosure, and then there is another version with a touch screen on it. So there's like a screen version and a non-screen version. And they have been produced in quantities of, well, it's into the many thousands. I'll just say that. And that design is based on an S3 plus an H2, and they're running thread. So they're going into, it's an IoT sort of application, and they go into installations where there might be a couple of dozen thread devices in the same installation, and then these devices are using thread for mesh networking and passing data like telemetry and control messages and things around. And that has been working extremely well. So doing that approach, what you need is firmware that runs on the H2, which handles the thread network. And then you need firmware that runs on the S3, which is like your high-level functionality. It's kind of like offloading Ethernet to a WISNet chip. So you've got an external controller that handles the network side of things. In this case, what it does is uses the H2 to handle the thread wireless network, and then the S3 can handle the high-level stuff. So in its loop, it is looking at the overall state of the system. It's reading from sensors and controlling things and sending and receiving messages via the H2, which is its bridge out to the network. But it's offloading all of that. And that has been working exceedingly well for that particular client. And Cable Tie says, only 20,868,030 seconds to go to Christmas. Counting down. Yes. Yeah, that's been working exceedingly well. And there is another client that I am using a very similar architecture. So S3 plus H2. And on that particular project, my old friend Angus has been helping with the firmware on that one. So, yeah, and once again, it's using the H2 for the thread networking. The S3 is providing the high-level coordination. And the nice thing about that is that the design is effectively based on the ESP32 thread border router example. So this is how Espressif do it. Open thread. This is the example thread border router. You can see it's got the H2 up here, it's got the S3 down here, and there is example code for running this border router. And the way it works is that the thread firmware running on the H2 exposes an interface. It's a serial interface. So the S3 and the H2 are connected via a serial link, and the S3 can send commands to the H2 and tell it and configure it. Basically, it's acting kind of like a modem. You're sending it configuration values. It joins the network, handles all of the keys and that sort of stuff. So and it then keeps the mesh network up and running, and you just send it messages and say, send this message, or check whether we've received a message, etc. Austin says the Rack32 could likely work on the C6. Testing around the strapping pins might be the only roadblock. Yeah. Jordan says, are these designs IPv6 native? Yeah, Thread is IPv6 based, I believe. But Austin says, Jordan Reese, no, the last I looked, the W5500 doesn't have IPv6 support. Not sure about Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, I was thinking in the context of Thread, not in the context of Ethernet. Like the hardwired Ethernet. Yeah, so what I would like to do, but the cool thing about this is that there is example code for the ESP IDF. And this reference design, so what I did was, in fact you can see, if we zoom in, on their reference design, you can see there's a dotted line across the PCB, and it says for ESP32S3 down here, for ESP32H2 up here. And yeah, it's got a USB port here to connect to the H2. There's a USB port here to connect to the S3. So it's Jordan says Matter requires V6. Yep. Yeah, it is. The H2 does. That does Thread networking. So Matter sits on top of Thread, and Thread is IPv6 based, and that all works fine. Yes, it is IPv6. But that's on the Thread network, not on the Wi-Fi network. I'm not sure in terms of Wi-Fi. I just don't know. So what I would like to do is make the Rack32 support Thread. So the way to do that is either to switch to a C6 or to add an H2. And so Austin is suggesting a C6, which incorporates the Thread stuff. I am leaning towards an S3 plus an H2 because that's what I know. It's a matter of familiarity, and I have example working code for it. So what I'm going to do is, okay, Jordan says if you want to be a border gateway and not just a Thread router, you'll need to do V6 on the Ethernet side. Yeah, okay. No, works that fine, stay with it. Yep. I just don't know about the C6. I've never used one in a design.
Austin's_creation said, if you know it works that fine, stay with it.
Yep. And I would be totally out of my depth in terms of firmware on the C6. I'd be starting from essentially zero knowledge. Now I'm going to pull this down here because I am going to open up something else. I'm going to... So one of the cool things that you can do is flash. Now, if you look at this, all right, what's on the screen right now? we have two processors. There's the H2 here and there's the S3 here. You can see it's got two USB ports, so you can plug a USB cable into here and communicate with the H2. You can plug a cable into here and communicate with the S3. And you can do that for doing things like loading firmware onto it or getting debug messages out of it. But the while that's going on, I'm going to sorry, I've got to open some other stuff off screen here. Electronics, prog, here we go. This is, I'm going to open up another board here and show it to you in just a second. So this is that, yeah, that'll do. Okay. All right, I'm going to bring, no. All right, I'm going to open the 3D view as well. I'm just being careful about what I show here because I am noodling around in Fusion in folders that also include client-related stuff. So I'm just being careful. So, yeah, okay, so if, now, what you would think is you have to flash two MCUs, therefore you need two USB connections, that way, two USB connections, and you would need to build one firmware, flash it to the H2, build another firmware, flash it to the S3, and update them like that, which is why there are these two USB ports on here. But you don't actually need to do that if you set up the build process so that the firmware for the H2 gets stored on the file system for the S3, and then the S3 can flash the H2.
Austin's_creations said, for the Rack 32 ID, almost say you'd be better off with a USB hub for it.
Ah, a USB hub. Yeah, but I have another plan. I will get to this, Austin, and I am working my way towards the plan. I've got something here that I'm going to show you in a second. You might think it's a stupid plan, and if you think it's a stupid plan, please say it. But anyway, this is the background for my plan. So you might think that you have to expose two USB ports here, and that you would have to plug into different ports to update the two. But what you can do in the design is we've got TX and RX cross-linked between the H2 and the S3. And what you do is you use two GPIOs from the S3 to control reset and boot on the H2. And then what you do is in the build process, so in ESP IDF, when you do idf.py build, it compiles the firmware for the H2 and the firmware for the S3, and it puts the firmware for the H2 into the file system of the S3, and when the S3 boots, it checks for the firmware on the H2 by talking to it through the serial port, and if the firmware on the H2 needs to be updated, it puts it into bootloader mode, pushes the new firmware to it, and then reboots it, and then verifies that it has the correct version on it. So the result is that you only ever need to connect to the S3, and you can push firmware onto, you can push an update onto it, and both processes get updated in the same process, which is really slick. It's very, very cool. So you don't need that second USB port to be exposed. In the scenario where we're doing this on a Rack 32, this second USB port is only ever needed if you want to directly talk to the H2 for whatever reason. You want to bypass the S3 and talk to the H2 directly, maybe for debugging purposes or whatever. So this is my plan. Now this is a board. I'm going to bring something, where is it? Here. So this is a board that I did just recently, actually, a couple of weeks ago, because I have found myself in this situation of programming combo boards a number of times. And it looks like, oh, where's the 3D version? Okay, so it looks like this. So it's got two USB-C sockets on it, a couple of fuses. It's got reset and boot buttons for the S3 and the H2, and there is a 1.27mm pitch IDC header on it. So this is like an ESP flash header, but it actually combines all of the I/O for both the S3 and the H2 into a single header. And then on the target board, what you do is you put that same header on it, which is quite small. It doesn't take up much space at all. And if you ever need to communicate with the processors individually, you can plug this little programming board into it, and you've got full control over boot mode, you've got the two USB ports, etc. But you don't need to populate all of that on the target board. So the target board can have the programming header on it, and optionally a single USB header. So the application I'm using this for is for one of my clients, which, hang on, I've got a cough again. So so what we would do is on the Rack 32, we would have a single USB port, which would go to the S3.
Austin's_creations said, yeah, but now you need to remove the rack and open it.
Yes, but this is an unusual situation. This is only if you need to do debugging on the H2 or something strange. Because in normal operation, you never need to manually flash the H2. It gets done automatically by the S3. So if you update your S3 firmware, it pushes the new firmware onto the H2 as well and takes care of that for you. So it's like a, this is a, in the case of a, say a Rack 32, this would be a last case, it'd be like a debugging tool essentially. It's not something that you would normally need to plug in. You'd normally only ever plug into the single USB port on the front, which connects to the S3, and everything is done through the S3, including updates to the H2. This is just an assistive diagnostic tool. Dodgy says, what are the chances of you putting this extra board in a safe place and never being able to find it? Yeah. Yeah. Now, in the case, the actual reason, okay, now the reason I designed this board is because this is for another client. This is not the client I was just talking about a moment ago, but another client with an S3 plus H2 combo. I've designed several boards for this client that have an S3 plus H2, and they have no USB ports on them because they are never going to be customer updated. These are industrial control devices, and the only way we ever want to be able to communicate with them is through this programming board. And once they're programmed and they go out in the field, they are not going to be touched by anybody. So they may get over-the-air updates, for example, but we do not want anyone plugging a USB cable into them. So there is no USB port at all on the board. There is only one of these headers, these IDC headers, so that we can plug in a programming adapter when we want to. So that's the use case for this, is normally connecting into these little industrial IoT boards. So, but in the case of something like a Rack 32, it could be an additional diagnostic port. Does the main S3 H2 board have a reset button? Yes. Yes, it does. What's my grid setup? Display off 1 millimeter. Yeah, okay. Yes. So what am I going to do? I'm going to pull this out. I am going to break this out to here and maximize it. And I am doing other stuff off screen where you can't see it, because I'm going to once again be noodling around in various folders. I want to go to that and that. I'm trying to become better about not doxing myself or my clients. I'm still really bad in that respect, but I'm trying not to do it as much. Now I'm going to take this, where are we? S3H2 prog, no, not that. Rack 32, I'm going to break this one out. So I'm trying to spare, yeah, okay, that'll do. I can put it in there for now. I'm just going to stick stuff off on the side here. So I'm trying to default to not having things visible on screen unless I choose to put them up, keeping things out of view. All right, so what I'm going to do is take that, may not move, I want to copy that, and in here I'm going to go conflicting, no, zoom, stick it there. Okay, so here we have an H2 mini, and we've got H2 reset, H2 boot, we've got the plus and minus data lines for USB, and we've got TX and RX that are used to communicate with the S3. So this is actually all you need on the H2 for it to become the thread coprocessor or handler or whatever you want to call it. We don't need any other I/O on this, it's all unconnected. We only need USB for our own uploading purposes, for like debugging and stuff. We need boot control, and we need the TX and RX for communication with the S3. So here we have H2TX and RX going to the S3 via 1K resistors. The reason I do this, these could be 0 ohm resistors or whatever, it doesn't matter. I do this so that we have nice net names and it makes the TX and RX match up clear, because otherwise, yes, you know the deal. So this could be a, it could be something like a cut track jumper with like a normally closed cut track jumper with different net names on either side, but I just put 1K resistors in there because that works just fine. And they get put down in the machine. And then this is the programming header. So we've got 5 volts connected from the host computer, which you can use for powering if you want to. We've got the S3 USB, data plus and minus, I/O 0 and reset. And then we've got the H2 plus and minus boot and reset. So where it's got boot, that is this one here. That's the boot mode pin, is IO9, which is a strapping pin on the H2. So this is what you need to add to the circuit to add thread support, plus some code, of course. And then we need to do the pin assignments on the other side. On the S3, we need to connect these. I just copied and pasted this from another schematic, so the net names don't necessarily match up. In fact, it definitely won't, because it won't say S3RX. IO17 S3RX. What is going on over on IO17 up here? IO17 let's rename that one IO17, IO17 S3RX, and what was the other pin? IO18 S3TX. IO18, IO18, not that, IO18 S3TX. Okay, so that links the TX and RX pins. And then I had H2 reset and H2 boot. Now, where was I controlling that? Just looking in my other thing. Oh, okay, that was IO48 and IO38. Am I using those in this? 38 and 48. That's spare IO38. Let's just try renaming that. Okay, IO38. No, IO38 will do. And IO48. So what I'm going to do is get rid of that, and I'm going to stick some coupling resistors in there. I should rearrange this a bit as well. So there and there. All right, I'm going to move that out of the way, stick that down there. Let's pull this out, give ourselves some room to work with, and link the IO38 net to there, and link these. This one, stick a label on. So what this will do is allow us to have control from firmware on the S3. What are we going to call this one? This will be H2 boot, and then this one will be H2 reset. H2 reset. Okay, so now the S3 can control boot mode of the H2 through these nets here, and it can, oh, hang on, H2 RX and TX. So what have we got? IO17 S3 RX. Where is IO17? Oh, that's right, I've already renamed those. So that's it. We now have the H2, and it is connected to the S3. The S3 can control its boot mode. It can communicate with it over serial. We've got the programming header, although I probably need to rename some nets here just to make them match. So what have we got? What's that one? Oh, that's D plus and D minus. Let's rename that one to, what naming did I use down here? S3, D plus and D minus. Okay, because I didn't have any other processor in it before, I didn't need to be explicit. Let's change that one to be called S3D plus. Yes, join it, and we'll make this one S3D minus. And join the nets. So we now have those linked. We've got protection on that USB connection. We've got the pull downs on the charge control lines for USB. That's all in place still. IO0. Okay, so I need to check the naming on here. So we've got S3 IO0, S3 reset. Let's make those names more explicit as well. So we'll link that net as S3 IO0, and we'll make this one S3, all segments on all sheets, yes. And we'll make this one S3 reset, so that's the master reset for the system. And now the programming header should have everything linked, and I can check that by doing that. Yep, I'm just checking whether it wants to rename multiple segments. Yes, 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 and yes. Okay, so the H2 is now linked, full control is in place, serial comms is in place, the programming header is linked to all the relevant nets. These nets have been renamed, and technically that is everything that we need to do to add threads. So we now have thread support on the Rack32. Apart from the minor issue of laying out and routing the PCB. But at least the schematic now has it all in place. So there's still some there is plenty of work to do with pin assignments for the what else? For whatever else, I need to check the I/O pin assignments. Yeah, oh, power supply is converted. Rack32S3. I wonder if I should give this a new Rack32. Maybe I should call it. I don't know. I'm debating. Do I just make this the new version of the Rack32, or do I make it something that's different to the existing one? I don't really want to keep making the old one when there is a new one. So I think I'll leave it as the same URL, product name, essentially. This will just become the new Rack32. All right, what else? Spare I/O. Oh yeah, that's the header. Some of these nets may not actually be connected to anything useful. In fact, I'm pretty sure they are not. Let's see. Oh, it's connected to something. I/O 43 TXD0. Huh, okay. So those ones are actually connected. Now, I haven't actually been able to see the chat for quite a while because it's been covered by my Fusion windows down on the other monitor. I have no idea what anybody is saying, has been saying for like the last 15 minutes. Okay. What else do I need to do? I need to check all of the other I/O assignments. Yeah, so my strategy here is to have this programming header that exposes all of the necessary comms and boot mode pins for both processors. So that can be used if necessary. Like if you wanted to access debugging off the H2 or something, but you don't need to use it. Normally what you would do is plug into this USB connector. In fact, let's go to libraries and update. I think, has that symbol been updated? No, it hasn't. Update all. Okay, it is all up to date. Yeah, normally what you would do is just plug into the USB-C connector, which connects to the S3, and that's how you would communicate with it and upload firmware. So you'd upload firmware through this single port for both the S3 and the H2. And the H2 stuff gets pushed through the pushed through the serial comms and the mode control pins here to the H2. Save. What do I need to do? Okay, what I need to do is figure out the pins necessary for WizNet control. So I've got these dangling nets here, which are left over from the previous design when I was converting it. And these will go to the other sheet. So if we have a look at the sheet with the WizNet controller on it, we have here Kipo copy, clock, and chip select. And we've got the WizNet interrupt. What else do we have? So I need to make sure that these things, oh, that's just connected to there. IO13 with RST. So we've got the reset pin. So we've got 6 pins that we need to account for. There are the SPI pins up here. There is the interrupt pin here and the reset pin. Now each of those things needs to be connected to the S3. At the moment they are on these dangling nets as reminders to myself so that I can see what needs to be done. Oh, these are TFT. Okay, so there is, let's just group these out. So there's that one, WizNet, TFT there, TFT there. So I need to do links on those. Now, what have I got these dangling nets for? Where do they go? What are they linked to, if anything? Oh, there. Okay. I think? No. What happens if I try to rename it? Yeah, I think these are just dead nets now. I don't think they actually go anywhere, so they can be deleted. And I can... Oh, that annoys me. It should be the same. There and there. Okay. And that also annoys me. There we go. Now we have TFT pins that need assigning. We have WizNet pins that need assigning. So we've got chip select and reset, and we've got the SPI pins here. So let's just do a quick check. We've got IO 35, 36, 37, and I think those are actually correct. They are assigned. 35, 36, 37 are matched. We've got IO 26 going to the chip select, and we've got IO 13 to reset. And these two here are not yet linked to anything on here, I believe. IO 13, yeah, so IO 13 down here is not linked. So those are unresolved issues. I need to figure out what pins on the S3 I should assign to those two nets. All right, I'm going to jump back in the chat because I don't know what has... Okay, so Austin said, while it's cool, the issue I see is for people debugging or changing things, people already have issues with OXRS devices, don't need to complicate things. Yep, true. In other words, keep it simple, stupid. Yep. Say, no, you need to remove the rack. And EF debugging. Sorry, just catching up on chat. There hasn't been much in chat. Does the S3 board and kick out it? I made a jumper as a 0 ohm resistor for RxTX lines. Yep, wagon loads. Good idea. Got a dodgy. Okay. I probably missed you. See you, Dodgy. Thanks for coming. Paul said, "What MCU is an H3?" Yeah, it's another ESP variant, as Jordan said. And Wagonlight says, "What about adding an edge connector or unused pins for future proofing it?" Maybe. Oh, Gavin, welcome, Gavin. So going back into the TTS, I can see Cable Tie is here. VL Andrew, Intermittent Tech. Gavin, welcome. Crispian's been keeping his thoughts to himself. Okay. Let's... now, WizNet. Okay. Ethernet with WizNet. So chip select, what should I use for chip select? I don't think I've got an existing design with the WizNet chip on it and an S3. The weird thing is that I haven't been doing all that much Ethernet recently. ESP32 S3 W5500. Let's have a look at this. I'm just looking at for what other people have done because I like to cheat and just copy other people's inspiration. Now what is to connect using SPI1? Chip select 39, using that and that, couldn't establish a connection. Okay, so to be fair, this is someone who had problems, so I shouldn't necessarily copy what they've done. Libraries, examples, thank you, it hasn't worked for me, is written, those pins are used for the, so that, chip select 39. And there is a small sketch. Clock 36, chip select 39. Is it using the interrupt pin? I don't know. Stephen W said you can use any pins you want on the S3. Yeah, it's got the IO multiplexer thingy, the matrix, so you can map functions to functions to pins. But I still like to try to follow conventions because sometimes libraries make assumptions, and if you don't specify a pin, for example, it'll fall back to a default. So if there is something like an example, if an example code for driving this, then I would prefer to use the defaults rather than use something different for no particular reason. So chip select 39, let's see what this does. W5500, IDF SPI, Arduino SPI, doesn't matter which one. Let's see if it specifies. So we've got chip select here on 15. That's interesting. If two Ethernet ports, IRQ 33, reset 18, reset 5, IRQ 4. Set this to 1 to enable dual Ethernet. Austin says...
Austin's _ creations said, the S3 has 0 defined pins all done in code.
Yeah, but there will be defaults. Like in libraries, a lot of the time a library, say an Ethernet driver library, will have a constructor where you initialize the... So you instantiate the object, you initialize... I mean, Austin, I know you already know this. You are way smarter than me on this stuff. But I'm just explaining my thought process. If you instantiate the object and then you call the init function on the object, which could be where you specify things like pins that you're using for different special purposes, a lot of the time if you don't pass arguments to it, it'll fall back to default pin assignments based on whatever the library says, unless you override them. So I would rather take the extra couple of minutes to see what other people have done and just use the same as whatever the library expects it to be, just to make it easier for myself in future. I know that functionally it is exactly the same, and are defining based on MCU. Ah, yeah, okay, do it at so many libraries. Austin says, most libraries are changing that now and are defining based on MCU. It's part of why I have to edit so many libraries because I don't account for the pins. Yeah. So this one is doing... What is it doing? Arduino ESP32. Yeah, so this is the official expressive example. But that is ESP32, not specifically S3. So it may not even be relevant anyway. Okay, so it probably doesn't matter. So maybe I should just do whatever this dude has done. Why did I assume it to do? I don't know. Chip select 39, so 35, 36, 37, and 39 as CS. So I think 39 TCK, that could be, where are we? So 37 as clock, Does that jibe? No, it doesn't. Clockers 36 I've got in here. I have, yeah, clockers 37. And here is a small sketch. All right, I'm going to use, so they've used 38 as their chip select. I am going to, yeah, they haven't used the interrupt. I think
Fosters_creations said, be careful with those 30 pins as some may have PSRAM depending on the module used.
True. Yes. The 30 series pins can have PSRAM. Okay, so maybe I need to rethink using pin 38 for this. So these pins I think can be, yeah, can sometimes be used for PSRAM. So maybe I should be going for low number pins like these ones over here. How about I go for, so IO5 I currently have set for SD chip select. So what I could do is go for
Outside
IO4.
the box said, I still prick up my ears every time I hear chip select.
I'll select you, Chip. IO4, let's make that one. Oh, okay. TFT RST is somewhere else. Okay, we'll make that one TFT RST. That'll do. IO4 TFT RST. So that takes care of that. I think that wasn't what I was planning to do, but whatever. Okay, so we now have that linked. Where is the display? Not on there. Not on there. Oh, I should get rid of that USB auto switch part of the circuit as well. Micro, where? Oh, is it over? It might be on here because it's just a header. Where is the header for the TFT? Where is it? Where is it? Is it on this? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, LCD header. IO4 TFT RST. Okay, so IO4 TFT RST, jolly good. So that's taken care of. I don't need to assign that pin. Now, where was I? That's right, I was doing chip select. I was doing select Crispian for the, oh, and this list is all wrong. That'll need updating later. For the WizNet, IO26 is what it's currently named as. So I'm going to make it IO6. IO6. Is it active low? Yes, it is. IO6 with CS. And then over here, I'm going to rename this one and all segments. And I'm going to rename it to that, which will then link those nets and force the one on the other sheet to be linked, which means I can now delete it. All right, so WizNet reset. Wiz reset. Maybe I'll make that IO7. IO7. Wiz RST. And over here, rename this one. All segments. IO7. Link the nets and delete it. Very good. Making progress. And now I know IO6 is assigned, so I'll remove that not connected symbol. Is this one connected? IO5 SDCS. Where is the SD card? Is that over here? Where is the SD card? Where is the SD card? There it is. IO5 SD chip select. IO35, 36. I need to check that these, oh yeah, it looks like they are. 35, 36, 37 is copy clock keepo. 35, 36, 37 is copy clock keepo. Okay, that's good. Those nets are assigned. Then, all right, so the SD card is all sorted. That can be mentally ticked off. So 35, 36, 37 is copy clock keepo. That's correct. 6 is chip select. That is now assigned. Interrupt we do not have assigned yet to anything, but with RST we do. So this one, IO21 with interrupt, which I'm pretty sure is not used in the driver, but I want to connect it anyway if I've got spare pins, just in case. There is no dangling net over here. I may not have even had it connected previously. I strongly suspect I didn't. So there's no there's WizNet chip select and reset, but there is no, oh, hang on, IO21 WizNet interrupt. Okay, so that is on pin 21. That is active low, so let's rename it. We'll invert it. Okay, that's good. So that's why there wasn't a dangling net. It's because it was already assigned. And that is now done. So that's got a reference to 1.6a. So that is referencing the first sheet. All right, I believe we now have everything set on the Ethernet interface. Can you tell the coffee has kicked in? It just feels like I'm starting to function like a normal human being now. Very much unlike the start of the stream. All right, so we've got all of our pin assignments done for the SD card, for the WizNet Ethernet, for the H2 thread coprocessor. What we don't have is the I've got to verify the TFT, I2C, and in fact I2C is right here. Let's do that now. So we've got IO8 and 9 as SDA and SCL. Let's see where that goes. There was a temperature sensor over here. 8 and 9, SDA, SCL, it's a dual footprint, so I can support either the AT30 TSE 752A or the MCP 9808, which is good. And the I2C breakout header. So we've got S3 reset, which is essentially the system reset being passed through. We've got 8 and 9 as SDA and SCL being passed through. We've got 12 volts and 3v3, which is all good. We've got I2C pull-ups on the correct nets on pins 8 and 9, which is all good. Now this, I am thinking I'm just going to delete this because this whole auto switch circuit is no longer necessary when with this voltage regulator arrangement. So we've got the 5 volt rail here, we've got the USB VCC coming in here, and that is coming in here through a polyfuse. That's USB VCC. So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to do this. I'm going to go zoink, and then I'm going to take the output of that 5-volt regulator and just stick it straight on here. Living dangerously. Get rid of the power auto switch. Feed USB VCC straight to the output side of the 5-volt regulator. And over here, I'm going to delete all of that. So we've still got the 3v3 coupling on there, or decoupling. It's linked through an inductor. That's fine. That can stay there. That gives us nice clean power on the WISNet chip. All right, what I think I'm going to do is rearrange. Oh, that's micro SD slot. Yeah, I'm going to rearrange this. I'm going to take the micro SD and move it down onto this sheet, and I'm going to take the 3v3A decoupling, which is the 3.3 volt rail for the WISNet chip, and I'm going to stick it down on this sheet. But that is going to necessitate moving this, and then we should be fine. Oi, missed it. All right, I'll stick that there. Okay, so this has now got the Ethernet stuff all on one sheet, and this has got the non-Ethernet stuff on the sheet, on one sheet. This has got the main MCU. Power. I think that power needs to move onto the second sheet, and then I can stick the H2 in here. So let's do that. I'm going to take, can I grab this without selecting that? Maybe not. What I might do is I'm going to cheat and move this. Oh, come on, move that. That's what I want. Cheat and move that. So I can do a select without picking up the frame and move that onto here. There we go. So power is going to be on the second sheet, which should then give us room to no, stuff that I don't want to keep those, which should then give us room to do something like this. Is this going to fit? I don't know. Oh, it does easily. Okay, so that goes in there. Nope, not that. I want that. Stick that in there. Will that fit? Ooh, maybe. Let's see. I'll see if I can get the I/O in there as well, the additional I/O. Yeah, not quite. All right, that can hang out there until I figure it out later. All right, so what are these dangling nets? So that's TFT. Okay, let's see what the TFT nets are doing. We've got 2, 14 and 25. DCCS, what have we got over here? That is definitely not 2, 14. So the TFT nets have not been properly mapped to the S3. Where is that header? LCD header. We've got the 35, 36. Oh yeah, we don't have Keepo on here because we never actually read from the LCD. We only have a write to it. So we've got controller out peripheral in. It's 35. We've got clock on 36. So it is TFT, chip select, DC, reset, and backlight control. Backlight cathode, I think technically, is why it says TFT BLK. but it's backlight control. So we have, those two are good, these four are not. What are we going to do? So TFT chip select, what pin shall we use for that? TFT chip select, let's go for IO10, we'll do IO10, and we'll invert it. TFT CS, do I have any other TFT stuff on here? We've got, oh, reset on 4, TFT chip select, so I've got reset on 4, okay. Do I have reset on 4 here? Yes, I do. Okay, so that is mapped through. Backlight control is mapped through. TFT RST on 4. I'm going to be laborious about this to make sure I get it right. So IO4 TFT RST. Okay. So TFT IO4 RST is not there. That's fine. So that was the one that was already mapped. So IO10 TFT chip select. So let's rename the crispy and select here. We'll do that one as IO10 TFT crispy and select, and then delete. So that's fine. Now I'll use 11 for backlight cathode. Excuse me. Is that inverted? I don't remember. IO11 TFT BLK. I have a feeling it is inverted. Or maybe it's not. It might just be a positive going signal to activate the backlight. And then we got 2, so let's, what did I just use? 11, IO11. Rename the nets. IO11. Yes, join the nets and delete. And then TFT DC. So let's make that IO12. IO12. TFT DC. Once again, I can't remember if it's an inverted signal. IO12. No, not 22. 12. Come on, join that net. Yes, IO12. Target acquired. IO12, so now we've got IO12 there, and over here we have IO11 for backlight cathode. What did I screw up? DC is 22. Oh, yeah, it's because I didn't click the radio button on that dialog. So let's rename it here, and that'll link the nets. We'll make that IO12. Yes, and now the nets are linked. I think we have taken care of the LCD. We've taken care of I2C. The only thing left then is this spare IO. So let's see what's going on with that. SDA and SCL 8 and 9, that's fine. SDA2 and SCL2, they can be anything. So let's make those 13 and 14, and then it's got a couple of other things for the extra. Those are strapping. That's spare. IO 43 and 44. Where do they go? Do they go anywhere? Looks like they do. 43 and 44 go. They go somewhere. IO 40. Oh, they just go to there. Okay. 43 and 44. TXD0, RXD0. Oh, good. So that's already taken care of. 43 and 44. All right. Well, that can stay. So IO1 and IO2 are IO1 and that's taken care of as well. That must have been something that I did previously when working on this. So I've got SDA there, we've got that, we've got CL, that. Okay, well then we're all good. I think that is actually 100% of the pin assignments done. I think we have all the nets complete. This is now, yeah, I think it's now ready for routing and neatening up the schematic a little bit, but everything is where it should be. Did I make that 0.12? Yeah, 0.012, so I want to change width 0.01, let's change that border, make it a little bit skinnier, and bring that in to there. Maybe I can bring this down, that might make it easier to fit. Bring this in. Yeah, these labels are no longer correct. IO8, IO9, yes. In fact, why do I have these labels on here? IO1, IO1, IO2, because the net names are already on there. I could just delete these labels and go by net names. 44, 333 ground. Yeah, so I want to fit that somewhere into here. Where will it fit? I don't think it's going to fit anywhere. I can't even think of a way of rearranging these to make it fit. Actually, I can move all of that. Now that I can bring this down to here, get rid of these, and I can move this. This might give me just enough room to make all of this fit on one sheet. Let's see. Because if I can get this up and then tuck the MCU links in underneath it, no. No. Oh, will it? Let's see. My calibrated eyes are not that well calibrated. Oh, it fits! Yes! Excellent, because that means I can now take this and move it over here, and life is good, and balance has been restored to the force. So now everything can fit on that sheet. That list still needs updating. That needs updating, but I'll stick it back in there. Yes, I think that we are good. Hang on, what is the thickness on that? 0.016. Yeah. Anyway, that's just an aesthetic thing. Got that. Yeah, okay. Let's redock the schematic. And now this is what needs to be fitted onto the board. But there's a whole lot of stuff that has been deleted, so let's rip up. Come on. Rip up. I can go around and do a whole lot of just wanton deletion at this point. All of that can be, yeah, that's going to need to be rearranged. No, actually, no, that part of it's not, but the power supply I will need to route up in this corner of the board. The H2 I need to fit somewhere. Where am I going to fit the H2? I might have to make this board slightly longer. Move the power supply stuff further down here to the left, which is okay because it still fits fine inside the rack enclosure. It can be longer. Ethernet stuff can stay up there. Maybe the H2 could go in this area, but I don't want to move the breakout here because this aligns with other modules in the enclosure. I don't want to move the USB connector because that aligns with the hole in the enclosure. Can't move the Ethernet connector. So those things are fixed positions essentially. That could be moved. Those are, I think these are just the I2C jumpers. All of that, everything back there can be moved. That's no problem. The SD card, yeah. There are kind of a few big things that are in fixed positions that really shouldn't move. That header I also don't want to move because add-on boards that sit on top of it require the header to be in that location. Okay, so moving all of this stuff and routing this is going to be a problem for another day. But at least now the nets should all be correct. So now it's a matter of doing the grind of putting all the parts in place and doing all of the routing. Okay, well, maybe something useful did come out of doing these things on the stream today. Just closing some stuff there, don't save that. I'm doing some things off screen where you can't see it. Okay, close that. Bring this back up. All right, now, where's the chat? Where is the chat? Yes. Wagonload says I need to reboot myself. Bacon and coffee reboot. Orange sliced candy will hold me a little longer. Stephen W says at least use a diode so you don't backfeed USB. Oh, that's in relation to my my direct connection to the 5-volt rail here from VBus. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I am stopping because, like Gerald, I am fading. Okay, so back to the chat. Wagonline says, I had to use ifdef to define pins based on which MCU the code was compiled on. Node MCU and D1 Mini didn't like the same pinout used for DHT22. Okay. Been selected for a tax audit? What? Don't always, yeah. Crispian says it was more fun when you were groggy. Yeah. Okay. Jono is becoming transparent. All right. Well, that was kind of a productive little burst there, just for a moment. Everything kind of fell into the groove. So I need to do the routing on this. But I'm not going to do that now. Still, it's progress. It is progress. Now, I'm going to bail. I am so zonked out. Let's go here. And because my streaming setup is all still broken, I can't do the outro. I'm going to have to just, like, kill the stream. Like a caveman. Go old school and just end the stream. I've got to figure out how to do that. Okay, there is a button down here in OBS that says stop streaming. So in just a moment, I'm going to click that button. And thank you very much for coming along and bearing with me in my hazy state.
Uru.
Oh yes, John said get Austin on next week. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I will need to chase it up with Austin in the meantime. We'll make arrangements and we will look at firmware for the air quality sensor. So thank you very much, everybody. Yes, as Some Call It Fun says, have a wonderful week. And I will talk to you all later. And we are going to go in 3,